The starship Horizon hung silently in Earth's orbit, its sleek hull gleaming in the sunlight. Captain Elena Reyes stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the main view screen. The image before her was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. A massive alien vessel, easily 10 times the size of the Horizon, had just dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. Status report, Elena barked, her voice steady despite the tension coursing through her body. Lieutenant Commander Akira Tanaka's fingers flew over his console. The alien ship is holding position just beyond Mars orbit, Captain. No signs of weapons charging, but their shields are at full power. Elena nodded, her mind racing. Humanity had long prepared for this moment, first contact with an alien civilization. But all their simulations and protocols seemed woefully inadequate in the face of the real thing. "Open a channel," she ordered. "Let's see if they're here to talk." Before Akira could comply, the view screen flickered. A face appeared, if you could call it that. The alien had a vaguely humanoid shape, but its skin was a shimmering, ever-shifting pattern of blues and greens. 4 eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern, blinked in unison. "Greetings, humans," the alien's voice reverberated through the bridge, a strange mix of harmonics that set Elena's teeth on edge. "I am High Commander Zix of the Zephyrian Imperium. Your planet has been chosen for assimilation into our glorious empire." Elena's heart raced, but she kept her voice level. "This is Captain Elena Reyes of the United Earth Alliance. We welcome peaceful contact with other civilizations, but we will not submit to assimilation. Perhaps we can discuss." "There is nothing to discuss," Zix interrupted. "You will surrender your world or face annihilation. You have 24 Earth hours to comply." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. "Well," Elena said, a grim smile tugging at her lips, "I guess we're skipping the welcome party and going straight to the negotiations." She turned to her communications officer. "Get me a direct line to UAA headquarters, and someone wake up the eggheads in R and D. We're going to need every trick up our sleeve for this one." As the crew scrambled to action, Elena couldn't help but feel a mix of fear and exhilaration. Humanity had faced countless challenges throughout its history, but this was on a whole new level. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility known only to a select few, Dr. Samantha Chen received the emergency alert. Her hands trembled as she read the message, but her mind was already racing with possibilities. "They're here," she whispered to her empty lab. Then louder, "Computer, initiate Project Prometheus. Authorization Chen Alpha 990. The lab hummed to life, holographic displays flickering into existence around her. Samantha's eyes darted from screen to screen, taking in the data from decades of secret research and development. "It's time to see if our hunch was right," she muttered, initiating a series of complex simulations. "Let's hope the Zephyrians have never encountered anything like us before." Back on the Horizon, Elena paced the bridge, waiting for orders from Earth. The crew worked in tense silence, monitoring the alien vessel for any sign of aggression. "Captain," Akira called out, his voice tight. "We're detecting multiple smaller craft launching from the Zephyrian ship. They appear to be on an intercept course with Earth's major cities." Elena's jaw clenched. Defensive measures. "Our planetary shield network is online, but we've never tested it against alien weaponry," Akira replied, "and our own fleet is vastly outnumbered." "We knew this day might come," Elena said, more to herself than to her crew. "We've prepared as best we could. Now we'll see if it's enough." The bridge erupted into a flurry of activity as alerts blared and tactical displays lit up with incoming threats. Elena took a deep breath, centering herself for the fight ahead. "All hands, battle stations," she commanded. "Let's show these Zephyrians what happens when you back humanity into a corner." As the Horizon maneuvered to intercept the incoming alien fighters, Elena couldn't help but wonder, what secrets did humanity hold that might turn the tide of this seemingly hopeless battle? And would they discover them in time to save Earth from annihilation? The next 24 hours would determine the fate of their entire species. But if there was one thing Elena knew about humans, it was their uncanny ability to surprise everyone, including themselves, when pushed to the brink. "Weapons hot," she ordered, her voice ringing with determination. "Let's give them a welcome they'll never forget." As the first wave of Zephyrian fighters entered Earth's atmosphere, the true scale of the invasion became apparent. Sleek, dart-like ships screamed across the sky, their energy weapons leaving trails of destruction in major cities across the globe. In the command center of UAA headquarters, General Marcus Blackwood watched the carnage unfold on multiple screens. His weathered face was a mask of grim determination. "Status report on Project Prometheus," he barked. A young lieutenant quickly pulled up a secure feed. "Dr. Chen reports that initial tests are promising, sir, but they need more time to fully implement the system." Marcus grimaced. Time was the one luxury they didn't have. "Patch me through to Captain Reyes on the horizon," he ordered. Elena's face appeared on the main screen, her bridge a flurry of activity behind her. "General, we're engaging the enemy, but we're outnumbered and outgunned. Earth's defensive grid is holding for now, but I don't know for how long." "Hold the line, Captain," Marcus replied. "We have an ace up our sleeve, but we need to buy some time." "Can you do that?" Elena's eyes hardened with resolve. "We'll give you every second we can, sir." As the transmission ended, Marcus turned to his staff. "Get me every world leader on a secure line. It's time to unveil our contingency plan." Deep in her underground lab, Samantha Chen worked feverishly, her team of scientists pushing themselves to the brink of exhaustion. Holographic displays flickered around them, showing complex genetic sequences and neural network simulations. "We're close," Samantha muttered, her eyes never leaving her work. "Just a few more tweaks to the quantum entanglement matrix." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility. A young researcher burst into the lab, panic etched on his face. "Dr. Chen, Zephyrian forces have breached the mountain defenses. They'll be here in minutes." Samantha's heart raced, but her voice remained calm. "Initiate emergency protocols. Upload all data to the secure satellite network and prepare for emergency evacuation." As her team scrambled to action, Samantha turned back to her console. Her fingers flew across the holographic interface, making final adjustments to the core algorithm of Project Prometheus. "This has to work," she whispered. "The fate of our species depends on it." High above the Earth, the battle raged on. The horizon weaved through a sea of Zephyrian fighters, its advanced point defense systems working overtime to keep the swarm at bay. On the bridge, Elena gripped her command chair as the ship shuddered under another impact. "Status report." Akira's voice was strained but professional. "Shields at 30%, Captain. We've taken out a dozen enemy fighters, but there are always more to replace them." Elena's mind raced, searching for a strategy that could turn the tide. "What about the Zephyrian mothership? Any weaknesses?" "Negative," Akira replied. "Their defenses are unlike anything we've ever seen. Our weapons barely scratch them." Just then, a priority transmission came through. It was General Blackwood. "Captain Reyes, Project Prometheus is ready for deployment. We need you to clear a path to the Zephyrian mothership." Elena's eyes widened. Whatever this secret weapon was, it was their last hope. "Understood, General. We'll get it done." She turned to her tactical officer. "Divert all power to engines and forward shields. We're going to punch straight through their formation." The crew looked at her in disbelief, but quickly moved to comply. Elena took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. "All hands, brace for impact. We're taking the fight to them." The horizon surged forward, its engines pushed beyond their limits. Zephyrian fighters scrambled to intercept, but the human ship moved with a speed and agility that caught them off guard. Energy beams and plasma bolts crisscrossed space around them as Elena skillfully piloted the ship through the chaos. With each passing second, they drew closer to the massive Zephyrian mothership. "We're in position, General," Elena reported, sweat beading on her brow. "Whatever you've got planned, now's the time." Marcus Blackwood's voice crackled over the comm. "Understood, Captain. Initiating Project Prometheus. Now." For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, a wave of invisible energy pulsed out from Earth, spreading rapidly through space. As it washed over the horizon, Elena felt a strange tingling sensation throughout her body. On the viewscreen, she watched in amazement as the energy wave hit the Zephyrian ships. The alien vessels suddenly began to drift, their weapons falling silent. "What's happening?" Elena demanded, barely daring to hope. Akira's voice was filled with wonder. "Captain, the Zephyrian ships, they're powering down. All of them." As the realization of what had just occurred sank in, a new transmission came through. It was Dr. Samantha Chen, her face bruised but triumphant. "It worked," Samantha said, her voice filled with relief and excitement. "Project Prometheus was a success. We've neutralized their technology." Elena could hardly believe it. In the span of a few seconds, the tide of the battle had completely turned. But as she looked at the dormant Zephyrian mothership, a new concern arose. "Dr. Chen," she asked, "what exactly did Project Prometheus do? And more importantly, is it permanent?" Samantha's expression turned grave. "Captain, what we've done today will change everything. The Zephyrians aren't just our enemies anymore. They're about to become our greatest test as a species." As Elena pondered these cryptic words, she couldn't shake the feeling that this victory was just the beginning of a much larger, more complex challenge. Humanity had survived its first encounter with an alien threat, but at what cost? And what secrets about their own nature were they about to uncover? The answers to these questions would shape the future of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy, and Elena Reyes found herself at the center of it all, ready to face whatever came next. In the days following the activation of Project Prometheus, Earth experienced an uneasy calm. The Zephyrian ships hung motionless in orbit, their crews seemingly incapacitated. As humanity cautiously celebrated their victory, Captain Elena Reyes found herself in the heart of a storm of questions and preparations. The bridge of the horizon had been transformed into a makeshift command center. Holographic displays showed the status of the disabled Zephyrian fleet, while others monitored the ongoing global recovery efforts on Earth. Elena rubbed her tired eyes, turning to Dr. Samantha Chen, who had been brought aboard to oversee the next phase of their plan. "All right, Doc. It's time you filled us in on exactly what Project Prometheus did. How did we shut down their entire fleet?" Samantha took a deep breath, her expression a mix of pride and concern. "Project Prometheus isn't just a weapon, Captain. It's a fundamental reimagining of what it means to be human." She gestured to a complex diagram on one of the screens. "For decades, we've been studying the untapped potential of the human brain. We discovered that humans possess a latent ability for quantum entanglement on a neurological level. Project Prometheus activated this ability on a global scale." Elena's brow furrowed. "Are you saying fought their ships into submission?" "In a manner of speaking, yes," Samantha replied. "Our collective consciousness created a quantum field that disrupted their technology. But it's more than that. We've essentially evolved overnight." Before Elena could process this information, an alarm blared through the ship. Lieutenant Commander Akira's voice was tense as he reported, "Captain, we're detecting massive energy signatures at the edge of the solar system. More Zephyrian ships, a lot more." Elena's heart sank. "How many?" "At least 100 capital ships, ma'am. They'll be here in less than 24 hours." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Their victory had been short-lived. General Blackwood's face appeared on the main screen, his expression grim. "You're all aware of the situation. The Zephyrians are coming back in force, and we can't count on Project Prometheus working a second time. We need a new plan." Elena stepped forward, her mind racing. "General, What if we take the fight to them? The Horizon's FTL drive is based on reverse-engineered Zephyrian tech. If we can get close enough to their fleet before they reach Earth, we might be able to use Project Prometheus on a smaller scale. Samantha nodded enthusiastically. It could work. A focused burst from a smaller group might catch them off guard. General Blackwood considered for a moment, then nodded. It's risky, but it's the best option we have. Captain Reyes, you have a go. Take a small task force to Proxima Centauri and stop that fleet. Earth is counting on you. As the transmission ended, Elena turned to her crew. You heard the General. We ship out in 2 hours. This is voluntary. Anyone who wants to stay behind can do so without shame. To her pride, but not her surprise, not a single crew member moved. Akira spoke for all of them. We're with you, Captain, all the way. The next few hours were a blur of preparation. A task force of 5 ships, with the Horizon at its head, was hastily assembled. As they prepared to depart, Elena couldn't help but feel the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. The fate of Earth, of all humanity, rested on the success of this mission. With a final look at the blue marble of Earth, Elena gave the order. All ships engage FTL drives. Next stop, Proxima Centauri. The journey was tense, each moment bringing them closer to a confrontation that would determine the future of their species. Elena used the time to work closely with Samantha, trying to understand the full implications of Project Prometheus. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, Elena said, poring over the data, we've unlocked some kind of collective psychic ability. Samantha nodded. Essentially, yes. But it's more than that. We've tapped into the fundamental fabric of the universe. The possibilities are, well, they're endless. As they dropped out of FTL at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system, the enormity of the task before them became clear. The Zephyrian armada filled the view screen, a sea of sleek, deadly ships preparing to jump to Earth. All ships, battle formations, Elena commanded. Dr. Chen, ready Project Prometheus. But before they could act, the comm system crackled to life. A familiar voice. High Commander Zix of the Zephyrians filled the bridge. Humans, Zix said, his tone a mixture of anger, and was that fear. You have committed an atrocity against our people. Surrender now, or face total annihilation. Elena exchanged a puzzled look with Samantha. What atrocity? They had merely defended themselves. This is Captain Elena Reyes, she responded. We have no intention of surrendering. We only wish to protect our world. There was a pause, then Zix spoke again, his voice trembling. You don't know, do you, what you've done to us? Suddenly, a massive energy surge erupted from the Zephyrian fleet, but instead of weapons fire, it was something else. A wave of psychic energy that washed over the human ships, filling their minds with alien thoughts and emotions. As Elena gasped for breath, overwhelmed by the sensation, she realized the true implications of Project Prometheus. They hadn't just evolved themselves, they had forced an evolution on the Zephyrians as well. And now, 2 newly psychic species were about to clash in a battle that would reshape the galaxy. All ships, Elena managed to say, her voice strained, prepare for, well, for anything. The real battle is about to begin. As human and Zephyrian minds clashed across the void of space, the Battle of Proxima Centauri began, a conflict unlike any in the history of either species. The void between Proxima Centauri and the small human task force erupted into a psychic maelstrom. Waves of thoughts, emotions, and raw mental energy collided as both humans and Zephyrians grappled with their newfound abilities. On the bridge of the Horizon, Captain Elena Reyes gritted her teeth, her mind aflame with alien sensations. Around her, her crew struggled to maintain composure, each of them experiencing the psychic onslaught in their own way. Status report. Elena managed to call out, her voice strained. Lieutenant Commander Akira, his face beaded with sweat, responded shakily, All ships reporting severe mental interference, Captain. We can't focus enough to operate our systems properly. Dr. Samantha Chen, her eyes closed in intense concentration, spoke up. This isn't just an attack, Captain. It's communication. The Zephyrians are trying to show us something. Elena forced herself to relax, to open her mind to the flood of alien thoughts. Slowly, images began to form in her consciousness, not of battle plans or weapon schematics, but of Zephyrian history, culture, and biology. They're like us, Elena whispered in awe. More than we could have imagined. As the psychic storm began to subside, a clear message rang out in the minds of every human present. It was High Commander Zix, his mental voice a mixture of anger, fear, and desperate hope. Humans, Zix communicated, you have unleashed a power you do not understand. In activating your Project Prometheus, you have not only evolved yourselves, but forced an evolution upon our people as well. Our technology, our very way of life, was built upon the suppression of these abilities. You have destroyed the foundation of our civilization. Elena's mind reeled at the implications. They hadn't just defended Earth, they had fundamentally altered an entire alien species. We didn't know. Elena thought back, projecting her sincere regret. We only sought to protect ourselves. There was a pause, then Zix's mental voice returned, tinged with a grudging respect. Your ignorance does not absolve you, but perhaps it opens a path forward. We propose a ceasefire. There is much we must discuss. Over the next several hours, as both fleets hung motionless in space, humans and Zephyrians engaged in the most profound exchange of information in the history of either species. Through their newfound psychic link, they shared not just words, but entire lifetimes of experiences, emotions, and knowledge. Elena learned that the Zephyrians had once been much like humans, curious explorers of their own world and the stars beyond. But millennia ago, they had discovered the latent psychic potential in their own genome, and it had nearly destroyed them. Wars of the mind had devastated their civilization, forcing them to develop technology to suppress their abilities and rebuild. In turn, the Zephyrians learned of humanity's long struggle to understand their place in the universe, of their resilience in the face of adversity, and of the accidental nature of Project Prometheus's wider effects. As the exchange wound down, Elena found herself face to face with High Commander Zix aboard the Horizon. The alien leader's shimmering skin reflected his tumultuous emotions, but his 4 eyes were clear and focused. Captain Reyes, Zix said aloud, his voice now carrying a new depth of understanding. Your people have inadvertently brought about a revolution in both our species. The question now is, what do we do with this new reality? Elena took a deep breath, feeling the weight of this historic moment. Commander Zix, I propose we face this new frontier together. Our peoples have more in common than we ever realized. Perhaps this shared evolution is an opportunity for a partnership that could benefit both our civilizations. Zix was silent for a moment, then nodded slowly. A wise proposal, but it will not be easy. Many among my people will resist this change, just as I suspect many of yours will fear our presence. Change is never easy, Elena agreed, but it's often necessary. We've both seen into the hearts of each other's species now. We know the potential for both great good and terrible destruction that lies within us. Together, we might be able to chart a course that avoids the pitfalls your people faced in the past. As discussions continued, Dr. Samantha Chen worked tirelessly with both human and Zephyrian scientists to understand the full implications of their shared evolution. Her findings were nothing short of revolutionary. The activation of our latent psychic abilities seems to have unlocked rapid adaptability within our genome, Samantha explained to a joint human-Zephyrian council. We're seeing accelerated healing, enhanced cognitive functions, and even the potential for extended lifespans in both species. But more importantly, we're developing the ability to consciously guide our own evolution. The implications were staggering. Humanity and the Zephyrians stood on the brink of becoming something entirely new, possibly even transcending their physical forms entirely given enough time. As word of these discoveries spread back to Earth, reactions were mixed. Many celebrated the dawn of a new era of human potential and interstellar cooperation. Others feared the changes, seeing them as a threat to what it meant to be human. Elena found herself at the center of it all, working tirelessly to bridge the gap between humans, Zephyrians, and the unknown future that lay before them. As she gazed out at the stars from the horizon's observation deck, she couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder and trepidation. "We wanted to prove ourselves among the stars," she mused to herself, "but I don't think anyone imagined it would happen quite like this." The battle that never was had given way to a revolution that would reshape the galaxy. And as both humans and Zephyrians took their first tentative steps into this new reality, one thing was certain: the universe would never be the same again. 6 months after the events at Proxima Centauri, the Sol system was buzzing with activity. A massive space station, jointly constructed by humans and Zephyrians, orbited Earth as a symbol of their newfound alliance. But today, it would serve an even greater purpose. Captain Elena Reyes, now Admiral Reyes, stood in the Grand Assembly Hall of the station, her newly acquired psychic senses taking in the swirling emotions of the gathered delegates. Beside her, High Commander Zix's shimmering form seemed to pulse with anticipation. "Are you ready for this?" Elena asked, her thought directed at Zix. The Zephyrian's mental voice was a mix of determination and concern. "As ready as one can be when the fate of galaxies hangs in the balance, Admiral." Today marked the first meeting of the Galactic Council, a hastily assembled body of representatives from over 24 spacefaring civilizations. News of the human Zephyrian evolution had spread rapidly across the cosmos, sending shockwaves through established power structures and long-held beliefs about the nature of sentient life. As the last of the delegates took their seats, a hush fell over the assembly. Elena stepped forward, her voice amplified both audibly and psychically. "Distinguished representatives of the galaxy, I welcome you to Earth. We have called this council to address the unprecedented changes that have swept through our corner of the universe, and to chart a course forward that benefits all sentient life." The next several hours were a whirlwind of debate, accusations, and tense negotiations. Many species viewed the human-Zephyrian alliance with deep suspicion, fearing the potential power of their rapidly evolving abilities. Others saw opportunity, hoping to gain access to the secrets of Project Prometheus for themselves. A representative of the Arcturian Concordat, a jellyfish-like being floating in a containment field, pulsed with agitation as it spoke. "The humans and Zephyrians have upset the balance of power in this sector. How can we trust that they won't use their newfound abilities to dominate the rest of us?" Before Elena could respond, a telepathic message from Dr. Samantha Chen, who was monitoring the proceedings from her lab, flashed into her mind. "Admiral, we've made a breakthrough. You need to see this immediately." Elena exchanged a quick glance with Zix, who nodded almost imperceptibly. "Esteemed delegates," Elena addressed the council, "I request a brief recess. There have been new developments that may address many of your concerns." As murmurs of curiosity and suspicion rippled through the assembly, Elena and Zix made their way to Samantha's lab. The scientist was practically vibrating with excitement as they entered. "You're not going to believe this," Samantha said, gesturing to a holographic display. "We've been analyzing the psychic emissions from various species since the council members arrived. Look at this pattern." The display showed a complex web of energy signatures, all interconnected in subtle ways. Elena's brow furrowed. "What am I looking at, Doctor?" Samantha's eyes sparkled. "This is evidence that the potential for psychic abilities isn't unique to humans and Zephyrians. It's present in every species we've examined, just dormant. Different species seem to have different aptitudes, but the basic framework is there in all of them." Zix's skin rippled with shock. "Are you saying that what happened to our peoples could happen to everyone?" "Theoretically, yes," Samantha nodded. "But here's the really interesting part. The interaction between different species' psychic signatures seems to catalyze development in unique ways. If we could find a way to safely awaken these abilities in other species, we could usher in a new era of galactic cooperation and understanding. Elena finished, her mind racing with the possibilities. As they rushed back to the council chamber, Elena and Zix hurriedly discussed how to present this information. The implications were enormous, potentially solving many conflicts, but also opening up a Pandora's box of new challenges. Retaking her position at the podium, Elena addressed the now restless delegates. Members of the council, we have made a discovery that will change everything we thought we knew about sentient life in this galaxy. Over the next hour, Elena and Samantha laid out their findings, backed up by Zix's testimony about Zephyrian history. The reaction from the assembled aliens ranged from awe to fear to outright disbelief. The Arcturian representative's tendrils waved agitatedly. You expect us to believe that we all have the potential to become, like you, and that we should simply trust you to guide us through this process. An avian delegate from the Serene Cooperative trilled excitedly. But think of the possibilities. True understanding between species, technological leaps beyond our wildest dreams. As debate raged, Elena felt a sudden shift in the psychic atmosphere of the room. It was subtle at first, but growing stronger. A sense of connection, of shared purpose and potential, emanating from every being present. Zix's mental voice rang in her mind, filled with wonder. Do you feel that, Admiral? It's happening already. The mere knowledge of this potential is awakening something in all of them. Elena nodded, a mix of hope and trepidation filling her. They stood at a crossroads of galactic history, the future of all sentient life hanging in the balance. The choices made here, in this moment, would echo across the cosmos for eons to come. As the Council grappled with the monumental implications of this revelation, Elena steeled herself for the challenges ahead. The journey that had begun with a simple act of self-defense had led to this, the potential awakening of an entire galaxy. Representatives of the Galactic Council, Elena said, her voice cutting through the clamor, we stand on the brink of a new age. The question before us now is not whether this change will come, but how we will shape it together. The future of all our peoples hangs in the balance. What say you? As the delegates looked to one another, a new sense of possibility and responsibility filled the air. The next chapter in the story of galactic civilization was about to be written. The years following the historic Galactic Council meeting were a whirlwind of change, discovery, and occasionally conflict. Admiral Elena Reyes found herself at the center of it all, navigating the complex web of interspecies politics while grappling with the rapidly evolving abilities of her own people. 5 years to the day since the activation of Project Prometheus, Elena stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, the massive structure that had once hosted the first Galactic Council and now served as a hub for cooperative research and diplomacy. The Earth hung like a blue jewel below, while ships of various alien designs darted to and fro in the space around the station. Quite a view, isn't it? Dr. Samantha Chen's voice came from behind her. The scientists had aged little in the intervening years, one of the many side effects of their evolved state. Elena turned, a small smile on her face. Sometimes I still can't believe how far we've come. Samantha nodded, her eyes reflecting the starlight. And yet, we've only scratched the surface of what's possible. Their conversation was interrupted by a gentle mental nudge, a common form of communication now. High Commander Zix, or rather, Ambassador Zix as he was now known, was requesting their presence in the main conference room. As they made their way through the station's corridors, Elena marveled at the diversity of life forms around them. Species that had once been at each other's throats now worked side by side, their latent psychic abilities awakened to varying degrees under careful cooperative study. The conference room was abuzz with activity when they arrived. Holographic displays showed data streams from across the galaxy, while representatives from a dozen species engaged in rapid-fire discussion, both verbal and telepathic. Zix's shimmering form moved to greet them, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence, a gesture Elena had come to recognize as excitement. "Admiral, Doctor, thank you for coming quickly. We've received a transmission from the Andromeda galaxy." Elena's eyebrows shot up. "Andromeda? But that's over 2 million light-years away." "Yes," Zix finished. "It seems our psychic evolution has had some unexpected consequences." Samantha was already poring over the data. "This is incredible. The expansion of our consciousness, it's not just limited to our own galaxy. We're making connections across intergalactic space." As the implications sank in, Elena felt a familiar mix of wonder and apprehension. Each new discovery seemed to open up countless new questions and potential challenges. "What does the message say?" she asked, bracing herself for whatever cosmic curveball was coming their way now. Zix's skin rippled with what Elena had come to recognize as the Zephyrian equivalent of a chuckle. "That's the interesting part. It's from us. Or rather, a version of us." The holographic display shifted, showing a recording of a being that appeared to be a strange hybrid of human and Zephyrian characteristics. Its voice, when it spoke, resonated on both auditory and psychic levels. "Greetings, past selves," the being said. "We are what you will become. The union of human and Zephyrian, of thought and form, of past and future. We have reached across time and space to guide you through the next phase of our shared evolution." The room fell silent as the weight of this revelation sank in. They weren't just changing the present, they were altering the very future of multiple galaxies. "There's more," Zix said softly. "They speak of challenges to come, of other forces in the universe that may not welcome our evolution, and of a great journey that lies ahead for all sentient life." Elena took a deep breath, centering herself amidst the swirling implications. "Well then," she said, a hint of her old captain's determination in her voice, "we'd better get to work." Over the next few hours, the conference room became a flurry of activity. Plans were made, theories were debated, and a new sense of purpose filled the air. The message from their future selves had made one thing clear: the journey they had begun with Project Prometheus was far from over. As the meeting wound down, Elena found herself once again on the observation deck, gazing out at the star-filled expanse. Samantha and Zix joined her, the three of them standing in comfortable silence for a moment. "You know," Elena said finally, "when I joined the United Earth Alliance, I never imagined anything like this. I thought maybe we'd make first contact, set up some trade routes. But this?" Samantha nodded. "We've rewritten the very nature of what it means to be sentient, and we're just getting started." Zix's mental voice was tinged with both excitement and solemnity. "Our people sought to prove themselves among the stars. It seems we will now have the chance to prove ourselves to the universe itself." As they stood there, a shimmering wave of energy passed through the station, the now familiar sensation of countless minds across the galaxy, reaching out in shared purpose and curiosity. Elena felt the vastness of it all, the infinite potential and the daunting challenges that lay ahead. But she also felt something else: hope. Hope for a future where the boundaries between species, between galaxies, even between past and future, could be bridged. A future where the combined potential of all sentient life could be realized. "Well then," Elena said, a smile playing on her lips, "shall we get back to work? It seems we have a universe to explore." As they turned back towards the heart of the station, Elena couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Humanity had not only found its place among the stars, it had helped reshape the very nature of cosmic civilization. And whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, as part of something greater than any one species could have imagined. The story that had begun with a desperate act of self-defense had become an epic of galactic proportions. And as the first tendrils of human consciousness reached out to touch the edges of the known universe, it was clear that this was not an ending, but a beginning. The next chapter in the greatest adventure in the history of sentient life was about to unfold.